tip for anyone who is knitting sleeves and you want them to be the same. I have all my decreases marked with stitch markers here, and then whenever you get to the decrease on this side, you can just remove the stitch marker from here and then put it on your other sleeve. So then slowly you'll have fewer stitch markers here and all your stitch markers will be on the other sleeve.
Knit a dress with me. My original plan was to crochet this dress, but the yarn looks so much prettier when it's knit. Finished!
If you crochet but are interested in knitting and maybe a little intimidated by it, this video is for you. The first thing you do in knitting is cast on. This is a lot like your chain. And my first cast on, I do a lot like I do my slip stitch onto my hook and crochet. So you wrap your yarn around your 2 fingers, creating 2 loops, and then starting from the fingertips towards the hand, I insert my needle under the top loop, and then over the bottom loop, and then under both those loops. And then pull your yarn taut and off of your fingers so that it is taut on your needle. The rest of your cast-ons are going to look a little different, but easier than what we just did. So wrap your yarn around the 2 fingers in your left hand, and then just push your needle under that yarn that you're holding over your 2 fingers. So push it under and up, and then pull it taut off of your fingers and on to your needle. And then you'll just repeat that until you have as many cast-ons as you want, and your cast-ons will be the width of whatever project you're working. This is part 1, follow for part 2. Or check out the full YouTube tutorial that I've linked on my page.
I may not know, but shoes, I know. I have this little problem. Expensive. I may not know, but shoes, I know. I have this little problem. Expensive.
But look at you. Look how far you've come. You faced your trauma, and you came out on the other side. And I'm sorry to get a little emotional, but there were some times there.
When I first started knitting back in 2007, nobody told me what kind of trouble I was getting into. You see, I thought I was picking up a nice, soothing little hobby to help with some stress relief. What I'd really picked up was a hobby that slowly expands until it devours everything like the monster from a 1950s sci-fi movie. It all started innocently enough, 1 pair of needles and 2 balls of yarn. But then I learned that there are different fibers and different yarn constructions and different weights of yarn. And for different weights of yarn, I needed different weights of needles. Then I discovered that not only did I need the straight needles, but I needed double-pointed needles for knitting in the round. And then I realized I like circular needles better than I like double-pointed needles. Things began to spiral out of control. I tried my best to fight it off, but the yarn monster was too strong. Eventually, it spread to occupy every single spare space in every single spare cupboard in my house. And then it devoured everything else. Now I design knitting patterns, and so I suppose you could say in a way, the yarn devoured me too. Oops.
I don't know why I keep doing this to myself, but I only have 3 days to knit an entire dress. My only reasoning is that it's finals week in art school, so what else can you expect? Today my goal is to knit all of the pieces. My plan is to basically knit my dream dress with like ruffles and lace and ribbon, but I think I came in with a bit too much confidence because this was so much more time consuming than I expected. I'm not even a textiles major, like I'm a graphic design major, but I wanted to take this class for fun, and I really want this dress to turn out good. By the evening I finished most of the panels, and now it's time for the top. This was the hardest part to make because the first time it came out too small, and by the time I knitted a top that I liked, 4 hours have already passed. At this point, I realized that the top was going to be see-through, so I ended up making a second layer. All I had left to knit was the back panel and the sleeves. Also, don't worry, I did take breaks to eat lunch and dinner. And finally, I knitted all of the pieces by 2:30 a.m. Here's what it's looking like so far. Afterwards, I went home and assessed all of the injuries I got from knitting for 11 hours straight. See you tomorrow. Okay, bye.
Oh my gosh. Today I'm gonna be knitting with my arms a giant blanket. Hold it, pull it through, and pop it on the other arm. I think I'm gonna do 2 more. In a circle on the arm. Essentially you hold it, pull it through, and pop it on the arm. And you just keep going. I've still got this much left. This is quite therapeutic actually. Guys, let's keep this going. Oh my gosh, this is seriously so beautiful and it feels so nice. We're still going though. I just stitched it off. Are you kidding? So there you have it. That is beautiful.
Everything I knitted in 2024 so far. The Esther sweater from Scapel Oslo is the only sweater I've never finished. If you've tried this, you know why. Next up is the Zeta Port sweater, oversized and so good for layering. This lovely test knit I was a part of for Knitter from Iceland. It was so much fun and I love this sweater. This was the first version of the interview vest that I scrapped. I wanted it a lot slouchier and the double collar just was not working technically. Believe me when I say the Monday sweater from Petite Knit is my go-to. The second version of the interview vest, which I wrote a pattern for, we're test knitting right now and I just adore. Because I'm taller than you and knitted a standard size, I'll probably make it longer next time. And the Acadia tank, I just blocked it mid-project and my math was perfectly spot on. Test knit coming soon. Talk to you soon. Love you. Bye.
Okay, I'm replying to this comment because I realized it's been 11 months since we last had a knitting club, which is far too long to go without knitting club. And since we're in the thick of knitting season, this video is officially reinstating knitting club, okay? So here's how it will work. Every Friday, I will show you some things that I finished. I will show you what I'm working on and then my plans for future knitting. And then you guys let me know what you're working on. And if you have any like questions or need help with something, leave it in the comments and I'll try and help you. So we'll start with finished projects. Last time we spoke, I was very into knitting baby bonnets. I have since graduated to baby sweaters. It's the only thing that I've been knitting. I have a lot of ideas for sweaters and designs. I do not have a very long attention span, so it's really fun to just like crank them out. The first thing that I finished is this Ebba sweater, which I have made a post about if you want details on like the yarn and the pattern and stuff. If there's a sweater in this video that I haven't made a video about and you want yarn and pattern details, let me know and I can make like a separate video about each sweater. And I made this Noah sweater, which is for my nephew. I haven't given it to him yet because I accidentally made one of the sleeves like 4 rows too long. So I need to undo it and then finish it off again. But it's basically done. This is an oldie, but a goodie. Ebba's 18 months old now, which is crazy. But this was her birthday sweater that I knit for her. And it has a little matching bonnet that goes with it as well. This, I do have a post with like all the details about it. Next, we have this little striped one, which I love. She wore it in Boston. It turned out really super cute. Somebody commented and was like, oh my gosh, Charlie Brown sweater, which is funny because that wasn't my intention, because the next one that I have is this Joe Cool sweater that I made for her because around Halloween, like a lot of Joe Cool costumes were going around on TikTok. And I was like, oh, that's really cute. I should make a sweater like that for Ebba. So here she is in the Joe Cool sweater. Lastly, I have this little sweater that I'm working on that I will probably put something like fun on the front, but I haven't decided what yet. It needs sleeves, but I ran out of yarn, so I had to go to the store and get more. And then by the time I did, I had like become distracted and started working on other projects. But I will finish this one. In terms of currently knitting, I am working on another sweater. This one's going to be a butter sweater. So you will notice that it's a very beautiful shade of butter yellow. And the plan is to make it like this full yellow sweater, and then similar to like the Eva sweater, it'll have writing across the chest, but it's gonna say butter so that it looks like a stick of butter. That's it for this week. Tell me what you're working on. Next week, we'll talk Christmas.
So someone in my neighborhood today was having a yarn yard sale, and I went in with a plan with a list of specific projects that I was looking for yarn for and exactly what I needed for those projects. And I did not expect her to have so much of what I was looking for, but I found some amazing things here. So the only thing I got that I was not specifically looking for, but I was not against finding, is this little ball of sock yarn. I just thought the colors were beautiful, and I'd be happy to make a little pair of shorty socks for myself out of this. I'll do a contrasting heel, and this will be plenty of yarn. Then I got this Sayel skein of yarn in this light blue because my friend's boyfriend plays on a men's league hockey team, and I want to make her one of the like Taylor Swift beanies. So I have the other color I need already in my stash, and this will make most of the hat. Then there's a pretty new pattern on Ravelry called the Arthur vest that I really liked, and I found the colors I needed for it. So for the main part of the vest, I got this Dawn Sayel yarn in this tan color, and then for the accents, the contrast color, I got this Leeward's Orlon Sayel. Together, they are pretty close to the original colors in the pattern, which I really liked, so excited to make this in the near future. And then my favorite find, I got this sweater's quantity, probably more than a sweater's quantity if I'm being honest, but since this is pretty old, discontinued, like honestly all of this is vintage yarn, I would rather overbuy and be safe. So I got all of this Lady Myra Windtuck yarn in this gorgeous gold color. I really like the feel, and I want to make an owl post pullover from the pattern book that I got for my birthday from my roommate. So been very excited to knit that, but I wasn't going to buy yarn specifically for it yet, but for $1 a skein, I spent $10 on all of this, and it's vintage. Like, I had to because it will look gorgeous in this color. And like, I am so excited to use this vintage yarn to actually make stuff out of it. Like, the idea of knitting with vintage acrylic has been something that I've been thinking about, and then just to have this opportunity to get a bunch of it and try it out, so happy, so excited. I'm glad this is all finally going to go into projects. Honestly, I'm probably casting on this sweater tonight.
Friends, we've done it! Let's finish this puppy up! So, we have 3 stitches left on my needles. I have cut the yarn ball. I'm going to string a tapestry needle. Alright! So now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to thread through my stitches. Bum, bum, bum. There's 1. And 2, 3. Boop. Perfect. So now what I can do is stick my needle through the hat. Okay. Turn it inside out. Boop. Okay. So now I'm just going to weave in my end here, and I'm just going to go between some stitches, string it through, and I like to go between stitches, have the loop, put my needle into the loop. It just is like a little extra security in there, but between some stitches, you can do multiple stitches at a time if you want and run them through. And then I will do another one of my little into my loops and go down through a bunch of stitches. Boop, 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 boop. Okay. Go over a couple rows, do some more stitches, and just by doing this, it ensures that my yarn won't come out. It's gonna be fine. Okay, so I can now cut that off. I have this gray one here that I need to weave in as well. So again, thread my needle. Okay. And this one, I'm going to go through some stitches, through my loop. Okay. And again, let's just go up a few rows of stitches. Okay. This is just how I weave in my ends. There's 100,000 different ways of doing crafts. This is just how I do it. And then I can take out my needle, cut off all my strings, flip over my hat, and there we go. Oh, it's so cute.